if you're going to be an online entrepreneur, you have to have basic marketing and entrepreneurship skills. You have to understand the basics and be able to talk fluently in some of these basics and, execute some of them if you have to.
Welcome to the Online Genius Podcast, where host and renegade-thinking beer-brewing lawyer turned online entrepreneur Bobby Klink proves that building and protecting your online genius doesn't have to be rocket science. Bobby and his expert guests break down online marketing and the legal stuff so you can stop sweating the small stuff and get back to building your amazing business. Now, here's your host, Bobby Klink.
Hey there, welcome to episode 110 of the Online Genius Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Klink, and I'm excited for another Foundations Friday episode where I'm going to give you some tough love. I'm going to give you a bit of a swift kick in the rear end like I tend to do on these episodes. And in today's episode, what we're going to be talking about is the concept that you can't simply outsource from the outset, but instead you need to be knowledgeable enough about a lot of areas of your business to be dangerous. Now, it's kind of like, there was this concept of a Renaissance man. I don't like it because there is no gender neutral version. I don't think people ever referred to a Renaissance woman, but the point is that we need to have a well-rounded sense of the things that are going to come up in our businesses before we can outsource it. And I want to talk about that today and explain to you why that is. So without further ado, let's dive in. Now, this concept comes up, and the reason I bring it up is because I frequently hear entrepreneurs say, well, I just want to hire someone to help me with fill in the blank. And this is at the outset where they are starting out and they think, I can just hire someone for that. And I'll be honest with you, I don't say I fell for that, but I made that mistake early on. After my first launch didn't work out, I said, oh, well, here's someone who's going to just help me create an evergreen funnel. Oh, I'll just let them do it. Well, that didn't work out either. So the difficulty is, I'll just tell you, if you don't know these concepts yourself, what's going to happen is you won't be able to, number one, you wouldn't even know how to hire the right people, but also you can't actually monitor people to make sure that they're doing it kind of right. And also they can't even do their job right because you can't provide them the information and feedback that they realistically need to be able to help you in the right ways. So those are some of the reasons why you have to do this and you can't simply outsource. And I'm not against outsourcing. There are some things, I'll be honest, that I outsourced from the very beginning. Like Pinterest, I outsourced from the beginning. Editing my podcast, outsourced from the beginning. I'm going to tell you, like, all the tech stuff, if you want to outsource, have a tech VA do that stuff for you, that is fine. There is nothing wrong with that. If you want to outsource graphics creation, that's fine. Because again, there are some people like me who couldn't create a good graphic to save their life. Now I can see a graphic and say, hey, that looks good, but I can't create it. And so, there are things like that it is fine to outsource those kinds of things from the outset. But the basic things in our business, we can't simply outsource from the beginning. And so I want to talk now about what some of those things are. But the basic concept to me is that if you're going to be an online entrepreneur, you have to have basic marketing and entrepreneurship skills. You have to understand the basics and be able to talk fluently in some of these basics and, execute some of them if you have to. And some of those things are, for example, you need to understand the concepts of sales funnels and what they are and how they work and what all the different pieces are and how things fit together. So that's kind of understanding the big picture, if you will. Because if you don't understand the big picture, you can't really put all the pieces together. If you're going to be that visionary, the CEO in your business, the person who really is driving things forward, you need to understand how things fit together. So that's a big piece. But also you need to understand content marketing. And that means you need to be the one creating content and thinking through how to create a content strategy and how to put all those things together. Because again, that is a pivotal piece of any successful online business, is having a content strategy. So it's not something that you can simply outsource and have someone do for you. I made that mistake too in my law firm days. I was like, oh, I'll just hire someone to write my blog post for me. Didn't work very well. I mean, again, they assured me, oh yeah, we can write stuff about the legal stuff. No problem. Didn't work. Now, it's not a good plan to outsource something like that from the beginning, or really ever, unless you have someone on your team dedicated to helping you with it. But beyond content marketing, there's social media marketing. Again, you need to understand the basics of social media marketing. Now, I don't believe you have to be a guru of it. And I certainly don't believe that you have to know every platform under the sun. In fact, I would encourage you to really own one platform first. Maybe it's Facebook for you. Maybe it's Instagram. Maybe it's Pinterest. Maybe it's LinkedIn. I don't know. You'll have to make that decision for your business. But see, here's the problem. If you don't take the time to understand how the different things work, you'll never be able to decide which one is the right one to focus on. So you can't really hire someone to even do it for you, because they'll say, well, I can do this and I can do that, but you won't be able to know. Again, when you get more advanced, you can hire people who are really strategists and will help you with that, but that stuff's expensive. And I'm just going to tell you, when you're starting out and you're hiring people, candidly, they're going to be people who are doers. You're going to have to tell them what strategy to use, and then they're going to implement it. Or they can come up with something, but you may have no idea whether it's a good idea or not. And so again, social media, not something that you can outsource from the beginning. Next up, I'm going to talk about email marketing. You have to know how to be an email marketer. The reality is that I don't care what anybody says, our email lists are still the most powerful asset we have in our businesses if we treat them right. But that means you have to treat them right. And it means you have to know how to do this, and you have to do it. And one of the things I teach my students inside my Fans First Society is that you nurture with you. And that means your emails have to be personal if you really want to use those to nurture people into buyers. No one can be personal besides you. So again, email marketing is something you're going to have to do yourself, at least at the outset. Another skill you have to have is copywriting. Everybody says, well, I'm just going to hire a copywriter to do that for me, because sales copy is hard to write. And I agree, sales copy is hard to write. But guess what? If you hire a copywriter, the first thing they're going to say is, okay, I need you to answer all these questions for you. And candidly, the answers to those questions are going to be what feeds into your copy. So if you can't answer those questions because you don't have the kind of the knowledge to know these things, which are very much about copy, you're not going to be in a position to actually hire someone and have them do well. Now, again, when you get more advanced, you can hire someone for maybe $10,000 and they'll go out and interview your people and really get insights and do those things. But I don't know about you, most entrepreneurs starting out don't have $10,000 to spend on a copywriter. And so you're going to have to know some of these basic things, some of the basic concepts of copywriting to be able to help people. Help a copywriter, even if you hire one. Another area that you need to have some basic proficiency in is Facebook advertising. I have heard way too many people who have just outsourced this from the beginning and effectively get taken because they don't know what they're looking for. They don't know how to give any guidance. And the people they hire are, kind of just, floundering around, but they don't even know what they're doing. And I've seen it happen in a lot of groups where these things happen, where there are people out there who are, getting hired as a Facebook ads manager, and they say things in these groups. And I'm like, I know more about Facebook ads than you do. And you're charging people thousands of dollars a month to run their ads. I'm just going to tell you, there are those people out there. And if you don't know enough about Facebook ads to spot those people, you might end up hiring one of those people. So you need to know that as well. Now, another thing is, if you are going to launch in a traditional method, you need to understand the mechanics of launching. Now, yes, you could get a project manager in to help you and you could do those things, but you're going to have to be someone who understands the different pieces that come into a launch, because you're going to have to manage and run that launch. The next area I want to talk about is the numbers. You've got to understand the financials of your business. Now, you can hire a bookkeeper if you want. You can do all those things, but you should not be in a position where you literally simply have someone handling it and once a year you look at it. You need to understand where your business is at least on a monthly basis, but my belief is on a weekly basis. You need to know what is your cash flow situation? What is the money coming in? What is the money going out? What does the flow of money look like? For example, I know that just the way things are structured, because the way I've done open carts for things with payment plans, I tend to have a lot of money come in the second half of the month. Really, it's not just the second half. It's like the last third of the month is when a lot of kind of the payment plan payments come in. And so I know that. So I know kind of the ebbs and flows of what my cash flow looks like on a monthly basis. You need to know that too. And that means you need to know a little bit about, accounting and bookkeeping concepts. Again, you don't need to know credits and debits and any of that complicated stuff, but you need to be able to look at a balance sheet and look at a P&L and understand it, and look at a cash flow statement and understand it, and understand that just because you have money in the bank right now doesn't mean you can spend it. So you need to know those things. And then I would be remiss if I didn't say, you got to know enough about the legal stuff to be dangerous. If you've heard me talk about it, I say you need to be an issue spotter. I don't expect you to know the answers to legal questions, but you need to at least be able to say, there's a legal issue here, and I think maybe I ought to take a look at it. Maybe I ought to get some information about it. So you need to do that because you're not going to have me with you and you're making decisions on a regular basis that have legal implications. And so you need to know what those things are and when you need to say, okay, let me stop here for a second and let me assess and let me get some more information. So, that's kind of a list of some of the things. I could probably, if I thought, for a bit more, come up with others. But the core concept that I want to get across to you is this. It's that you can't be someone who simply says, I've got an idea and I'm outsourcing everything else. Now, you might get there and you've heard people talk about being the digital CEO and all those things. And yes, that's your goal over time, to delegate a lot of this work out. But you can't delegate it and you can't lead it until you know how to do it yourself. And so you are going to need to have that, kind of basic working knowledge of these different subjects early on in your business to be able to thrive. So that's my call to action today, is make sure you learn about these different concepts so that you are effective and can deal with each of them. That's it for this episode of the Online Genius Podcast. I'll be back next Tuesday with another episode. Talk to you later.
Thanks for listening to the Online Genius Podcast. Make sure to tune in next week for more great tips, tricks, and strategies to help you build and protect your online genius.